CrossFit Harrow podcast. Today we have Sid, who is a managing partner at Kinara International.
Hi, Lorenzo. Hey. Right. So ours is a family business. We do manufacturing out of China, and we make things for various different clients. The one that you'll probably recognize the most is if you know Uber Eats, the bright green backpacks that you see on the street. We make those, and so that's what we do. Yeah. Just right place at the right time. So we've been in China for about 20 years. I used to live out there with my family. We were there for 4 years. One of my kids was born in China. We lived in Hong Kong as well. And we set up a sourcing and manufacturing business there. And it just so happened that a family friend was working at Uber Eats. At the time, they were in Toronto, and they were just Uber Taxi, right? The Uber Taxi company. And they had this bright idea, let's try and deliver food. And so we got a frantic call from the friend to say, hey, I need 100 pizza bags as quickly as possible. And so we ended up sort of producing those and shipping them out to Toronto for the first trial. And we've been with Uber Eats ever since and grown with them. And now we're sort of starting to work with Just Eat and others as well.
Yeah, they're very iconic brands in the kind of food delivery section of the world. So you can't the sound. It's green and black on the Eats packaging, in the back the pizza boxes.
The green and black pizza boxes, yeah, that's right. We do those. Yeah, so at university I studied engineering with economics and management, and I was headed towards the city, so headed towards banking or consultancy, and I just felt like I didn't want to be behind a desk. I didn't want that to be the rest of my life, and I had this moment where I was walking past the Army Careers Office, and I just thought, you know what, let me just go in and have a chat. And at the time, there were some very clever adverts on the TV. I think Saatchi and Saatchi had the contract, and it was the Army Be the Best slogan, where they would put a scenario on the screen, and then it would blank out. So for example, you would see a soldier walking into an African village, and you desperately need water, and there's only one well, and it's in this village, and the warlord comes out screaming and shouting, waving an AK-47, saying, no, you can't have any water. And then the screen goes black, and it goes, what would you do? And I was like, oh,
and what would you
do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I want to know. What would you do? And then the screen comes back on again, and you see it from the soldier's perspective, and he just takes off his sunglasses and makes eye contact with the warlord, and you see this guy just calm down. And I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be able to have that effect on people. There's another one where you see the soldier running through the jungle being chased by bad guys with bullets, and you get to a ravine and the bridge has been taken out, and then the screen goes black and it goes, what would you do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I want to know, what would you do? So the ad campaign was going on, and I was heading for a job in the city, and I'm like, this sounds so boring. So I walked into the Army Careers Office, and I said, hey, what's this all about? Like, can you tell me a little bit about it? And there was a corporal behind the desk, and he said, are you at the university? And I said, yeah, I'm at the university, and I've just walked in. He goes, yeah, you're in the wrong place. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you want to be an officer, not a soldier. And I'm like, oh, okay, tell me more about that, because I really didn't have a clue. He said, no, you need to go and talk to so-and-so, Colonel so-and-so, and set up a meeting. So I did that, and it went really, really well. And the colonel who interviewed me said, we'd love to have you. It'd be amazing to have you join, and we want people from all walks of life, all nationalities, all ethnicities, and we'd love to welcome you into our family. Now, this is in contrast to when I was going to banking interviews, where I was being told, we don't need you, you're shit. We'll do you a favor by giving you a job, and you can bring us coffee every morning. So it was a very stark contrast. And I thought, well, you know what? Let me give it a go. They know what they're looking for, and if I do well in the selection process, maybe I'm the right fit. I ended up doing really well in the selections. I got a scholarship, and ended up going to Sandhurst to the military academy.
And how long was your spell with the military?
Yeah, so it was a year in training at the academy, and then 4 years full-time service, where
Well,
I was stationed in the UK, in Germany, and the Middle East, and then 4 years of reserve service. I think the biggest takeaway that's translated into my life afterwards has been working with people. So leading people and managing people and doing that effectively. I don't think you can achieve anything unless you're part of a team, and the whole team has to work together. I mean, one of the key
yeah.
principles in the army is you're only as strong as your weakest person. And you all make sure that you bring everyone along so that the entire team is uplifted. It's not about leaving the weakest one behind. It's about making sure that person can keep up with everyone else, and supporting them. And if that means sharing the load and taking on more yourself to support them, that's what you do. So that's probably the biggest thing. So leadership and managing people. Yeah. So there was a basic fitness test that you had to pass. So pull-ups, press-ups, and a run, and sit-ups. So that was the standard army fitness test. You had to do, I think, a mile and a half in under 10 minutes, and you had to do at least 50 press-ups, 50 sit-ups, and 5 pull-ups. So that was the basic. And then when you got in, you ended up getting very fit very quickly, because everything was physical as well as mental, and so you marched to lessons. Yeah, and so you're always training. There was PE, a couple of times a day, every day, and then we would go out and train, in on exercise, so out in the woods, running around and carrying logs and empty heavy ammunition tins and stuff like that. So I did a lot of that, but that was, more than 25 years ago. And so I didn't say too much about it when I came to CrossFit because I didn't want to set any expectations. Yes, I was fit
Yeah.
25 years ago, and that's a long, long time. Since then, I've been behind a desk. I've got terrible posture, terrible flexibility, and I'm trying to do something about that.
About how well that you had progressed from it, and I think that there's certainly that it's like it's just waiting to come out.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been wanting to do something about my fitness for a while, and so about a year ago, I just said I have to do something, and so I signed up for the London Marathon, and I just thought I need a goal because I'm very goal oriented. I need a goal. I need a line in the sand that I'm working towards, and so I signed up for that, and I said, okay, right now, shit, I've only got 4 months left. I need to get fit, and so I started, running again and getting ready for that. And then once I did that last April, I said, okay, what next? What do I want to do next? And just looking online, researching what's local, what's convenient, and what do I like? And CrossFit came up, and I just thought, yeah, there's a lot there that I really like. I want to get stronger. I want better mobility, and I want to improve my stamina and my fitness. And it seems all three are within the discipline of CrossFit. So I said, yeah, let me give this one a go. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I, I never had very good discipline. I'm not good I'm not a morning person. So 5 a.m. training is not good. And when I was stationed out in Cyprus, it was too hot to train in the day, so we had to get up at 4 in the morning to train, while the sun was still down. And so yeah, I'm not good at discipline. But yes, I did learn a lot in the army about what you have to get done, and sometimes you just got to get on with it. And so I
Yeah,
do.
it's that you've built from those experiences have been pretty.
Yeah, a lot of it is that. A lot of it isn't actually physical, it's mental. It's
Yeah,
taking yourself to a barrier and then pushing yourself beyond that. The hardest thing I ever did was in week 6 of training, which is where they're trying to cull the most number of people. Essentially, if you don't get past week 6, they don't want you to continue, the course. And so that was a really difficult test. And that was a 100 and something kilometers. I think it was 125 kilometers over 24 hours. And every 25 kilometers there was a special task, right? So whether it was a log carry or a stretcher run or some mental exercise. And so we marched all through the night, all through the next day. And it was tough. And we had a couple of the guys were hallucinating at one point. They completely lost it. But you push through. And now I know after that, I can look back and say, well, I've done 125 kilometers, like I've done the hardest thing I'm ever going to do. So everything else should be possible.
You can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do anything.
Yeah, exactly that. And then when I was training soldiers, it's the same thing. We took them on adventure training exercises where we do a lot of extreme sports. So skydiving and that sort of thing. And people with a fear of heights would struggle, but it's about helping them to get to that point where they can overcome that fear in a relatively safe environment, because you've got a parachute and you've got a spare as well. Get them to overcome that fear so that when they're in a more difficult situation, again, they know how to overcome a fear. So after the military, I went into a corporate career, worked in logistics and procurement. So I started with Total, which is a French oil company. I worked in procurement for them. I then moved to. I always had a hunger for. I had an ambition, right, to grow, to make a good amount of money, and I wasn't really progressing with them. So I said, well, where can I go that I could make more money? And I'd grown up in West Africa, so I'd grown up in Nigeria as a kid, and I was educated in the UK, so I was sent to boarding school. So I went back to Nigeria and said, okay, what can I do over there? So I set up a small business at that time in my 20s, and I was doing engineering products. And that's how I started it. It was tough. I didn't enjoy it. I actually hated it. But I was in the right place, where there were opportunities. I ended up working for UPS, which is the American logistics company. And a lot of the work I was doing, which was moving spare parts from China to Africa, I met the country manager of UPS, and we met socially. And he said, "Look, I need someone to help me, because the UPS normally does letters and sort of parcels, but letters, the volume is dropping because everyone's sending emails." I'm showing my age now, but everyone's sending emails, and so we want to get into more of a spare parts logistics business. And would you come in as a consultant and help us set that up? And I said, yeah, sure. So then I ended up, keeping the family business, the small business going. My dad took it on as a family business, and I moved into working with UPS and logistics. So again, continued in a corporate career, I guess. Worked with them for a few years in Africa, and then we decided we were going to move to China. So we just had our first son, and we weren't too happy growing up with a child in Africa. We said, let's move somewhere else. And so we moved to China, where my dad was with the business, but I stayed in a corporate career. So I moved from UPS, then worked with Capgemini in a consulting role, but again, supply chain logistics, that became my expertise. Worked with them for several years, 4 years in China, running logistics for companies like Volvo out of China.
Wow.
And then moved to DHL. Again, same sort of thing, expertise in logistics and supply chain, and work with DHL in Hong Kong. By this point, 2 kids now, and they're growing up. And we said, well, we need to get back to an English-speaking place so we can get them into a good school. And so we came back to the UK and then took a transfer with DHL and worked with them in London. So that sort of corporate career path, specializing in logistics and supply chain, took me to a few places, but eventually back to the UK. And then we got to a point where the family business had grown, and my brother-in-law had joined my dad, and they were doing really well, and they were doing the Uber business. And they said, do you want to come in and let's keep growing this business together, and want to grow it in the UK? And that's when I sort of joined the family business again. So I hated it when I started it in the 20s. But in my 40s, it was actually the right time, because now I had a lot of knowledge. I'd built up all this experience working in logistics and supply chain with corporates that I could then bring into the business. And so that
Yeah.
was the right time to come back to the business. And I was about 40 when I rejoined.
20 years worth of that experience to be able to then take with you and bring with you now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we pick up what different things from different places, and you apply it into the business now, and it's working really well. Yeah, things I've learned throughout my time.
This sounds that you have.
That's a really good question. It's taken a lot of experimentation to figure this out. But what I found is that I have a slot in the middle of the day where we finished all of our team meetings, we finished all of our work with the China team. They go to bed, and then around lunchtime, I have an hour to 2 hours where I can take some time off and train. And then I come back from training and I continue working with people in the UK or the US and that side of the world. So there's a natural slot there, a natural pause in the day. And I realized I can just about get out, get a workout in, get back, and then eat my meal while I'm in the next meeting. And the nice thing about it is it actually breaks up my day really well. It gives me a chance to reflect on the morning and the morning work. And often I'll come up with solutions to problems just getting to the gym or getting back from the gym, and that's really useful. And then the nice thing is I get my evenings back, which are really important for the family. Spending time with my wife, spending time with the kids, so it doesn't compromise that. But it's taken a while to find this routine. Yeah, challenging at times. I mean, I remember when I was in Guangzhou in China, I was commuting an hour and a half each way to get to the office. So I didn't have as much time at home as I would have liked in the evenings. But the payoff is that now, as an entrepreneur, I'm very flexible. So I can do the pickups, the drop-offs for school. I can decide I'm not going to do, obviously I'll let my brother-in-law know I'm not going to work this afternoon. I've got to go to, the kids' swim activity, or they've got sports day at school, or whatever it might be. So I think the payoff is now that I can enjoy that time with the kids.
Into this and the entrepreneur kind of journey, I think that we always look at, whether it be people like yourselves that now you can do those things, but for a long time actually you couldn't, and you had to do the work.
Yeah, I lost half of that, but I'll respond with I had a very good mentor a few years back, and he didn't call it work-life balance. He called it work-life integration. You've got to be able to do the things you need to get done for yourself and for your family in and around your work. And we've tried to bring that into our business as well. So we're predominantly a remote first company, which means most of the team work from home, and we don't clock watch them. We don't say, "Are you at your desk? Are you doing your work?" No, it's you've got to get your work done. You've got to get it done on time, and it's got to be good. But you can choose to work whenever you want. If your best working time is at 10 o'clock at night, then work 10 o'clock at night. If you want to go to the gym in the day, go to the gym in the day. You do what you have to do for yourself and for your family. And family first is our first value in our business, as long as you get your work done and you schedule it yourself. And that seems to work really well. The flip side of it is I have to respond to WhatsApp messages at 11 o'clock at night when Australia wakes up, and you know you have to do that. Um, but we don't have strict timings in our business.
Have that ever brought challenges for you? I would imagine that there's the odd time, or whether it be a person maybe who's taken advantage of that. Has that been something that's happened over the years? And
Yeah, it can be a challenge. I mean, when you're in a small business, they say everyone has to carry their own bags. Everyone has to carry their own weight. Okay. And it's very easy to see when someone isn't. And being a small business, you can't afford that person to stay. And so they don't last very long if they're not carrying their own weight. The nice thing is we've got a fantastic team. Everyone's working really, really hard, and everyone gets on with it because they've got the freedom and they've got the trust that goes with it. To get the job done.
so is that something that you still do?
So I do some peer-to-peer mentoring. So I'm part of a business network where we are in a forum. There's 8 of us. We're all business owners, and we learn and share from each other. So that's something that I still do. That's called the Entrepreneurs Organization. And then as outside of that, I also mentor other people. And so recently I went and spoke to the sixth formers about career and life choices. And one of them approached me and said, "I've got a business, that I'm doing. Would you support me, mentor me?" And so I do. I did that for a while. I don't do it anymore, but yeah, I do sort of mentor outside of work as well. Yeah, absolutely, and I enjoy it. It's fun to coach and mentor people more so than digging into Excel spreadsheets or whatever else I might have to do that day. Entrepreneurs have a lot of ideas. And
Yeah,
sometimes that can be the challenge, is the lack of focus. They start one thing, it's going well, but hang on a second, I've got this other idea and it's really great. And it's like, why don't you finish the first one and get focused and knuckle down and get it done before you launch business number 2 and number 3. So I think helping entrepreneurs focus is an important part of it.
yeah. I think it's a natural focus is
It's
very
a problem we have too. I mean, we've sort of taken the business. We've got our core business, and then we'll try something new over here, and we'll try something new over there. And sometimes it works out, but sometimes it doesn't. And you have to go back to what's the core business? What are we really good at? Let's just keep doing that. What it means to me is that, well, first of all, that there is some sort of higher power out there, that there is a force out there that's bigger than we are. And I think that recognition is important to me. And then sort of from the learnings that I have, we go to Sunday school, to learn about Hinduism and spirituality there, is that we are all connected to that one force. And in fact, we are all part of it. And it's recognizing that within each and every one of us, that we're all part of something much, much bigger and much, much greater. Um, I think that's really important to me. And then the other sort of big learning is that our purpose in life is to be happy. It's a
Mm.
very positive thing for me, spirituality. It's, you are meant to be happy. You are happiness. You are bliss in yourself. And it's, how do you recognize that state day to day? How do you help yourself appreciate that actually your true nature is to be happy?
When did you find?
But
When
I'll answer anyway.
or has it always been with you along this journey of life and entrepreneurship?
It's always been in the background. It's always been there, because it's part of our community, but it's not something I've actively participated in until more recently. And around 4 or 5 years ago, we got to a point where the kids were interested, and they were asking questions about life and purpose and things like that. And at the same time, an opportunity came up where our community center did a full renovation, and we're now welcoming people back in and starting to do Sunday classes. And we said, okay, well, let's sign the kids up for Sunday class. And together with that, the parents get to go for a class while the kids are in class. And so started to learn a bit more about the Bhagavad Gita, the message behind it, and what's involved. So I say about 4 years ago, really got into it, and now I'm also sort of volunteering on the committee and helping them, grow as a mission. Yeah, absolutely. And my wife too. And it's something that we do as a family, which is really, really nice. We do it together. We're all interested in it. And for the kids, it gives them a lot of mental strength. To know that problems they have in life, that there are places they can go to talk to people, or ideas and concepts to help them deal with it. So at their age, it's much more about mental wellness, than anything else.
Yeah, building an element of that resilience for the future and the challenges that they're going to face later on, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right.
They're at prime age, positively or negatively influenced.
Yeah, correct. Correct. And even the community of kids that they get to spend time with is all very, very positive. It's probably the one sport that I've kept through most of my life, and pursued to a pretty decent level. So I started sailing when I was 9 years old, in Nigeria, in West Africa. I took it as a sport at school, and competed in the school circuit in the UK. So competed against other schools, and it's a really nice sport. I mean, it's called team racing, and it's dinghy sailing, and you have three boats against three boats. And so you're
Okay.
sort of racing against another school or another team and trying to get your boats ahead of them, in the race. It's very strategic though, because you can trap another boat to help one of your teammates get through and that sort of thing. So super interesting. I sailed at university. I sailed with the military, and I taught sailing as well when I did sort of summers as a camp counselor, sort of in the US, just teaching that. Nowadays, don't get to do as much, but I have got my yachting license. So if we want to do a CrossFit, away week in the Mediterranean, I can skip her a boat and we can all go do that.
To be
Sure.
or yacht very, very quickly, but not legally, let's say, uh, without the license, just making do. But it was a great experience. Great experience. And rock climbing is something that you do too.
Yeah, it's something I do. I do it from time to time. The kids love it; they really like it. I don't know if you're familiar with Harrow Wall, which is in sort
Yeah,
of North Harrow. Um, Fantastic facility. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest in the UK. And so when they opened up, we got the kids into it and enrolled in it, and they love it. So yeah, I enjoy bouldering, and just sort of messing about there. It's good fun.
there's tennis on there too. How what's the relationship like with tennis? A very big fan of tennis, or is it very casual?
It's very, very casual, very, very casual. It's only on there because I also should be doing some social, stuff. Whereas rock climbing can be quite solo sometimes. So yeah, I should be a bit more social. So I started playing tennis. I've always played a little bit of racket sports throughout my life, and then again, I mentioned I'm goal oriented, right? So I got an email through from my son's school to say there's a parent-son tennis tournament. Would you like to sign up? And so we did. And so I'm playing in that tournament in 3 weeks' time. I haven't played tennis in
Amazing.
over a year. So I said, right, I need to get back into it. So I've organized a couple of lessons just to get back into playing over the next few weeks, and then we'll see how we do in the
Yeah,
tournament. Yeah,
it's very impressive. The tennis is a great game, but it's so. I mean, like most things, it is so orientated around technique. Right, you can hit a ball really well, and you can hit a ball really, really bad.
100%. Yeah, so I've got a coach, and he had a session on Monday. I haven't played with him for a couple of years, and he said, "Oh, you're doing okay. You haven't forgotten everything I taught you." And then he taught it all to me again. So obviously I had. Um, but yeah, I've got a couple of sessions booked in with him, get the technique right. It's not about strength. It is very much about technique. If you can connect, with the right mechanics with the ball,
Yeah,
um, it makes a huge difference.
I've been
Yeah.
thinking about that.
He was
What's
explaining a
the
lot of body mechanics, to me. He's like, the way that you lift your arm when you serve, it's all about trying to go with your body's movement
right?
naturally and not try to fight against the natural momentum you can create with your arms.
Wimbledon's on the telly. When the sun's out, it's great to get to courts. If Weatherpool, if we get a chance, we'll have
Yeah.
a game. It's a fantastic sport. What's the plan for you and your fitness journey for the next few years, or long term goal now?
Look, for me, it's all about longevity. That's the most important thing. I hit 45 this year. It's on my mind. Obviously, age shouldn't be a thing, but it is. And it's about how can I just continue to stay fit to keep doing all the things that I love. Spending time with the family, spending time with the kids, and all of these activities. And so, what do I need to do, to do that? So that's what it's about. There's no other particular goal. I thought the Open was interesting. I did that after only having done CrossFit for a couple of months. So it was a good way to benchmark. And I see that as a baseline this year to improve on next year because I don't think I did as well as I would have liked to. So it's a nice way to measure. And so I'll probably keep doing that.
Good, good. And with it being on one hand very new to you,
So the CrossFit itself, I think, first of all, is a really nice community. And I really like the support that we get from everyone. both other people participating as well as all the coaches. I love the friendliness. I love the atmosphere. All of that is very positive, and I like that. So I'm looking forward to turning up for a lesson, as opposed to when I was going to the gym on my own to press weights. I wasn't looking forward to anything. I was just going because I had to go. So that's
Mhm.
different, and that's really, really nice. So a lot of encouragement, a lot of community, and that's good. And the other thing is, what I've learned is all I have to do is turn up, because when I turn up, I will work hard, or I will be encouraged to work hard, and I get a lot out of it. So as long as I can get out the door, and head down to the gym, I will have a good day and a good workout. So that's been really cool. So with the business, I mean, what we do is, and we've recently just done an acquisition, in our business where we've added a design team. So we've now got electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, so we can design brand new products. And we've got a license to design medical products as well, which is pretty cool. So there's some stuff we can do in the medical industry that's really, really nice, and we'd like to do more of that. We'd like to help our clients design new products to help people, and help them on their sort of health and fitness as well. So that's an interesting space. And in our business, because we can now design products, that means we can design them, we can manufacture them in mass production, we can ship them out all over the world and distribute them for our clients. So we run the whole end-to-end supply chain. And we do
It's
that
almost
at
like
the
the
moment.
entrepreneur.
I'm sorry? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we just sort of added pieces to our offering so we can now offer the full spectrum. So our clients, if you had an idea, Lorenzo, for a new product, once you've had that idea, we would help you design it, prototype it, sample it. You can take it, test the market. We can then mass produce it for you. We can ship it anywhere in the world. We can warehouse it. We can build you a web shop to sell it. And we can then, pick, pack, and distribute it to all your customers. So you never have to touch the product again. Once you've had that idea, we can take the whole end to end of it. And we do that at the moment for, about 20 clients. And we love working with interesting clients, interesting people. And we'd love to take that from 20 to 100. How can we do the same thing for 100 really great brands and help them take their products from design to implementation and distribution? Thanks very much, Lorenzo. Really enjoyed chatting with you, and happy to talk again or more anytime.